Consistency. It always comes down to consistency. Welcome back to Making Everyday Magic. My name is Shanna, and if you are new here, we are homeschooling family of 4 who is in our 8th year of homeschooling. We have a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old. Today, I wanted to pop on and I wanted to share with you how we are consistent. Before we go any further, guys, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on that bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me down in the comments or over on Instagram at Making Everyday Magic. Recently, I have been sharing a few routine videos, and this is something that I have talked about if you have watched my channel consistently over many years and many videos. I view consistency as the solution to everything. It is really important to me to build consistency into our homeschool, our parenting, our home life, our chores. It really makes an absolutely huge difference when it comes to setting up systems. For example, recently sharing morning routine videos, and I discuss how we got to now where everybody knows what to do, when to do it, all of the things, being about we have set ourselves up with a consistent plan, consistently followed through, and people have requested that I share how did we get there? It's not overnight, of course, and I've been thinking on this video topic for a little while, so I feel like I have condensed it down to 5 things that you need to do to develop consistency. And something that is not part of that, but I think is incredibly important, so important, I will probably discuss it again at the end of this video, is to have reasonable expectations. So before you start any system or any plan, it needs to be reasonable. So yes, in our morning routine, my kids can get up, they know what they're supposed to do, yada, yada, yada. But my youngest is 8. So I would not be expecting a 3-year-old to get their own breakfast, get themselves dressed, and take care of a pet. That is unreasonable. So if you do not first have reasonable expectations for what can be achieved, I feel like you will be consistently disappointed. For example, I have seen on many homeschool groups, people being upset that their kids have not followed through with what they thought they were doing, but they didn't check in on the progress of their 10-year-old consistently, and therefore were shocked to find out that their 10-year-old had not been making consistent progress, because again, that is an unreasonable expectation for a 10-year-old to be self-governing when it comes to their homeschool. So again, reasonable expectations, okay? So that, first of all, put that in your pocket. You must be reasonable. Now, the 5 things that I think help us make consistency, the 5 steps that I take are plan. So number 1 is plan, number 2 is communicate, number 3 is follow through, and number 4, evaluate, number 5 is adjust. So plan. I am somebody who, when I get an idea in my head, even for these videos, I sit down, I like to map it out. I like to plan. I like to plan how our homeschool year is going to go. I like to make a plan for thinking constantly about how are we going to get the most out of a morning routine? How am I going to do that? What all do I need to do? How can I plan this out? So number 1 is just have a plan. You know what you need to get done. How are you going to do it? What's the steps? Plan. Number 2 is communicate. So the way that we can make these things happen in our home is because I have communicated the plan. I didn't ask these people to show up and do something they had no idea what they were supposed to do. So I am very clear in my communication. I am very clear with, this is your job. This is what time we start school. I communicate this so well. Everyone, even Dad, who is not an active part of our everyday homeschool life, can tell you homeschool starts at 9 a.m. He can tell you our school day starts at 9 a.m. because we have effectively communicated that. Another way that I like to communicate what my expectations are is checklists. So we do have our flow printed. I have very clearly communicated to you what I expect of you. I have very clearly communicated to you which chores need to happen on which day, because I made you a printout with little check boxes that you can take care of yourself. So plan, Communicate. Communication is usually where a lot of this starts to go off the rails because people are not clear in their expectation. Communicate. Communicate. And when you say it, make sure they say it back to you. If I say school starts at 9 a.m., then I'm like, what time does school start? They have to say it back to me. That way I know that they have heard me. Now, number 3, and this is the hard one, follow through. This is where best laid plans go off the rails. If you are not consistent, if you do not follow through, for example, school starts at 9 a.m. So if you're not ready and expecting everybody to be there at 9 a.m., if they're constantly having to wait on you until 10, they're not going to take it seriously and show up at 9 a.m. This is also very true when it comes to parenting and your methods of discipline or your expectations as far as appropriate behavior. If today it is okay to jump on the bed, but tomorrow it is not, you are not being consistent in your follow through. So if you say you're going to do something, you need to model that behavior and do it. And then make sure that you are holding everyone else to the same standard. Follow through. Number 4 is evaluate. If I say school starts at 9 a.m. and every single day we are struggling to make that happen, but we could easily make it happen by 9:30. If every single day we've started by 9:30, but we cannot possibly make 9 a.m. happen, do you know what we need to do in this evaluation process? Number 5, we need to adjust. It is so important to consistently check in with your systems to make sure to evaluate whether or not they are best serving you. So yes, you might want to have something happen, but it is just never gonna work out. And so you need to be willing to evaluate, honest reflection, black and white data, take your emotions out of it, and then adjust. If I never adjust my expectations, I am going to be unhappy all of the time. If I am inflexible, it is not going to work for me. And I do this even with my own routine. So my morning routine is not the same every time. Even my planning routine, the planner I use, I am constantly reevaluating. If I feel like there is a hiccup, if I feel like there is a way in which I am not best served by something, I will evaluate and then adjust. Because when you do find the sweet spot, for example, my children's morning routine, by getting them on an alarm clock, and we will discuss the night before if it needs to be a 7 a.m. alarm or a 7:30, depending on what all they have to do in the morning. They know they get up, they get breakfast. If they can get moving in a reasonable amount of time, they are allowed to watch an episode of something while they eat. Then they get dressed for their day, make their beds, brush their teeth, come down and take care of their guinea pig. And then by 9 a.m., and oftentimes they will go ahead, sit down and start pulling things out earlier, or they'll ask if they have a significant amount of time if they can do something else until 9 a.m. But because we've been consistent, it took us a while to figure out the system that worked. But once we were consistent and found the pieces that do allow us to have success in this manner, it is amazing. So if you can plan, if you can communicate, if you can follow through, then evaluate it, adjust as needed, you too can build consistency, not just in your homeschool, but across the board. And again, I want to remind you that reasonable expectations need to be had. Do not expect your children to do something they are incapable of, even when it comes down to things, for example, like our chores. So we will set our chores for the kids. We usually, you guys know I love a theme, so I will give myself a theme. But oftentimes my kids, we will go ahead and assign to them chores, and they're free to do them ahead or after to make sure it's done by the end of the week. They have that freedom. But I go ahead and kind of set out that intention for what is happening on what day. So if we are out of the house for most of the day on Wednesday, an easy light chore for that day is to sort your laundry so we can do laundry the next day, or to clean out the car. It's really easy. And just take out the trash, take out anything that doesn't belong there, give it a little quick vacuum. Super easy, super quick. So that I'm not asking them to tackle a bigger task on a day when they don't have the time. In that manner, we allow it to be adjusted and flexible, and we are setting everyone up for success. In their chores, their chore isn't scrub the bathroom down, because again, they're 12 and 8, but it is one child will clean the toilets, and the other child will wipe down the counters. These are reasonable, in my opinion, expectations of them. I'm not giving them a broad topic, I'm giving them a specific task. I have communicated clearly, and then at the end of the week, because it is important to evaluate, at the end of the week, I can go check and make sure that they've checked off all of the boxes on their chore chart. Then I know that they have earned their allowance. By evaluating the work that they have done at the end of the school day, I know where they are. We are measuring progress. And if we are consistently falling behind where we should be, then we adjust. So, like I said, I feel like it is a nice little 5-step system. I really do wish that I could apply this to every aspect of my life and follow through, but I am not as consistent as I would love to be in all aspects. But in homeschool, I feel like we've nailed it down pretty well. So this is my formula for consistency. This is how we have gotten to those self-sufficient morning routines and really how I've become a homeschool support staff in our homeschool day. So guys, I hope that you found any of this helpful, entertaining, or informative. If you did, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, or give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me down in the comments or over on Instagram at Making Everyday Magic. I would love to hear your thoughts on consistency. Do you have it? Are you struggling with it? Where do you feel like you're falling short? What do you feel like you're doing really well? If you have any further questions, I do have a Q&A video planned coming up, so feel free to shoot me a message and I will try to get that into that video. Guys,